everyone, welcome into Attacking Third, brought to you by CarMax, the way car buying should be. Alongside Darian Jenkins and Christine Cupo, I'm Lisa Carlin. Today we have a lot to get through. We're chatting the Summer Cup, all the action that's happened, of course the Olympics. We're going to keep you updated on the latest out of Canada soccer and their drone spying scandal. But we do have some news that starts with a 14-year-old. And before I get into it, I want to know from you guys what you were doing at 14 and if you could have been a professional soccer player. Because we have players right now that are competing professionally and being paid to play. Christine, what were you doing at 14 besides getting in trouble?
I was grounded a lot. I was probably sitting in my bedroom, I'm going to be honest. But yeah, I was just playing soccer and probably drawing hearts on my notebook with somebody's dumb son's initials next to him.
That's fair.
I was like growing an inch every night and trying to learn how to kick a soccer ball. So I definitely could not play pro because every time I woke up, I didn't know how to control my lanky body.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, but no.
What's it like to be tall? Sorry, I've probably been the same height since I was 15.
And getting like those growth spurts where you have to wear like the bands around your knees because your body's just constantly growing. That's it.
No, I was playing FIFA a lot. I was like training with boys teams, but I don't think I was up to a level to be able to play pro at all.
Well, you eventually got there. You eventually got there, so congratulations.
I
definitely was not.
for JV at that point.
I was like playing all the sports besides soccer. Soccer was like a fun afterthought for me when I was 14. I just still loved playing it so much before it became so much of like a chore. Now this is your job going into college and that's what you're going to do. But that is not at all the case for the newest member of Gotham FC, forward Mac Whittam. At 14 years old, she made history. 14 years and 1 day, this forward Mac Whittam became a new professional, making her professional debut on Sunday as the youngest player ever to feature in a first division match in U.S. history. She subbed on in the 80th minute for Gotham in the Summer Cup in their win over Washington Spirit. She breaks the record that was recently set by Philadelphia Union's Kevin Sullivan in MLS earlier this month. Fun fact, both of them took the pitch at Subaru Park in Philadelphia to become the youngest. So Mac Whittam, she joins Gotham through the U18 entry mechanism, and she did sign a 3-year contract. That contract begins January 1, 2025, running through 2028, but she was able to play in the Summer Cup because she has been signed by Gotham as a national team replacement player. So she is available during this international window. But 14 years old, Darian, it is awfully young to be playing a professional sport.
Very young. I'm interested as to how she's going to fare when everybody's back. Is she just going to be developed into the player that they're foreseeing her to be? What is she going to do when she grows? How is she going to adapt when her body's changing? That's a really interesting and awkward time as a teen. So I'm very interested to see more of her playing style. I've seen like her training videos on her social media, which are really impressive, but it's very different when you're going against people, your own teammate who's 24 years older than you, like McCall Zerboni, love that girl, but like a McCall who's really experienced and just has different levels to her game. So it's going to be interesting to see how she's developed in Gotham.
You hit different when you're 37 years old versus when you're 14 going into tackles.
Yeah. When you're like, hey, I could have teen mommed my teammate. That's kind of crazy. Yeah. No, I can't imagine being ready for that at 14. I just think about like, I used to get super nervous just playing like high school ball before my games, like knowing that you have to perform and you're among these pro athletes who have like, especially at Gotham where they have these World Cup winning like upper tier players. It's a lot. It's certainly the great ground to learn on, but that's a lot for a 14-year-old.
Yeah, and to think about the experience that she's going to gain training with these players is going to be immense. Having the opportunity to play with World Cup, Olympic champions, national team players, she's going to learn a lot very quickly. I think it's just how she grows into the game is going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, and how she is prepared to go into training, but clearly she is. For more on this, we bring in the fourth member of our Attacking Third studio crew, Sandra Herrera, to chat about this. Sandra, we just got Darian and Christine's take on Mac Whittam, but what do you think? Is 14 too young? What are some of the obstacles that Mac Whittam is going to have to overcome playing in the NWSL?
Oh my goodness. I know everyone was looking at that headline, and I think those of us here at A3 were like, wow, 14. I was cracking up at what you guys were all doing at 14. I think I was planning my quinceañera at that time. I'm just like completely different, threads for some of our experience versus some of these young players who turn pro. But I am in agreement with Darian specifically. I think there's going to be an adjustment period. I think we've seen that for young teenage players who have made that leap to the professional scene so far. And it's also wild to think about it in that common thread that we've got a small, at least brief history of teenage players to maybe take a look at to kind of make those comparisons. I mean, seeing this headline drop is massive. I think back to Olivia Moultrie and making her debut for NWSL as well. And she had a lot of headlines around her as a 13-year-old. And there's going to be an adjustment period for sure. But I think it's all good feelings around this first debut.
Sandra, because we haven't had the opportunity to see her play a lot of minutes, I've seen her videos online on her social media where she's really technical. She looks very proficient with her feet on the ball. Have you seen or do you know of the qualities that maybe Gotham seeing in her to invest in signing a 13/14-year-old to a longer-term contract?
Yeah, there's a bigger picture here for sure. I think when you're looking at what you're building right now with Gotham, we see a lot of what they refer to as organized chaos. I think their signing of Rose Lavelle over the offseason, says that they want to have a certain layer of control within that midfield and maybe with the addition of a player and with him where they have plans in the future for her to kind of slowly weave her in will just kind of maybe be a continuity of what they're kind of putting in place right now. So I don't know if this is going to be a player that we're going to continue to see get long stretches of consecutive minutes, but she's absolutely, for now, going to be part of their bigger picture.
Sandra, we've had some big action in the Summer Cup already in match day 2 between NWSL sides and Liga MX sides. And I want to know the development that you've seen from the Liga MX side from match day 1 to match day 2. Have you noticed a difference in how the Mexican sides are taking on NWSL teams?
We love growth, right? We love to see it, and I think that's what we're seeing in the Summer Cup so far. Look, match day 1, there's no sugarcoating it. Liga MX Femenil did not have a good debut in the Summer Cup. They did not walk away with any wins except for Tigres over Pachuca, but that was Liga MX Femenil squad versus another team from the same league. And so now that I think things have trickled over into match day 2, I think what we're seeing is adaptability and flexibility and players who are able to make those kind of quick adjustments from one group game to another. And I think it has provided maybe some more excitement in the games for Summer Cup. I thought Chicago versus Chivas was particularly spicy, a narrow 1-0 win for Chivas. And we saw Club America go out and kind of take it a bit to San Diego Wave and Monterrey, the current champions, taking Orlando Pride to penalties. I think that match day 2 kind of energy was what we were all hoping to get a little bit of a glimpse of in Summer Cup, and we're finally starting to see it.
Sandra, Liga MX Femenil are now a few weeks into the start of their Apertura season. Obviously, they're doing that double duty with Summer Cup. How much have you seen in just in terms of like the rotations? Do you think that that's impacting their play in Summer Cup, or inverse of that, is it impacting them during the regular season? Have you seen any deviations in their play?
Yeah, not in the negative sense. I think the cup games, I think, are of significance, particularly to Liga MX Femenil, more so than NWSL. I think we heard a lot of coaching staffs and even players kind of look at Summer Cup as an opportunity to kind of build on minutes and continue developing with their own respective NWSL sides. Whereas with Liga MX Femenil, there are layers of that, but there are also added in layers of measuring themselves against another league. That's important to them. They are of the understanding that they are a young league still in the process of growing, and the measuring stick to sort of see where you're at in sort of the global scheme of football is to go up against other clubs in other leagues. So I think they're kind of taking that next step forward into this second match day, and hopefully they'll take it into the third match day. Maybe, just maybe, we'll get some even more spiciness in the final group stages.
Ooh, I think we will too, because I think the development I've seen between match day 1 versus match day 2 is the Liga MX femenil teams are being a little bit more bold. I think knowing the NWSL is a little bit more solid defensively than maybe what they're used to going against. We're seeing some bold shot takers. We're seeing volleys, shots from distance where they're having to draw. NWSL teams are playing out a little bit more, and then they're punishing them and breaking it down. So it's been really fun to watch. I think we've seen a big leap from match day 1 towards match day 2.
And it's giving the NWSL teams time to work on things that they have been trying to do in the regular season, but it's different points totals, and it's against different competition that they get to test themselves. Sandra, there was some big news coming out of Chicago last week during their Summer Cup match against Gotham FC, where defender Sam Staub unfortunately went down in the stoppage time at the end of that match, and it has been announced that she has torn her right Achilles, so sending her all of the best wishes and a speedy recovery. But this is a huge dagger in Lauren Donaldson's game plan. What does this hole leave at Chicago without Sam Staub?
I mean, it's a massive glaring hole. I'm sure they're going to rally behind the circumstance, but it's not ideal for a Chicago Red Stars side that's probably going to want to jump back into the second half of the season and hopefully build on their playoff push. And maybe, just maybe, an injury like this means that those hopes have possibly taken a little bit of a hit. It's going to be tough to sustain kind of those lower playoff positions, whether it's 6, 7, or 8. And Chicago have found themselves kind of fluctuating within that. Sam Staub was a major acquisition for them over the offseason, and arguably program playing, changing type of player. Being able to slide into the back line has helped kind of provide not only leadership and experience, but vision on the ball, distribution as well, when this team is looking to find those areas in which to transition and counter. So her loss is going to be felt immensely.
Especially as a player who was Iron Woman for number of years at Washington and was hoping to do that again. Devastating to see. But Sandra, thank you as always. You add so much to the show. It's so great to have you in here. And we're loving the beret. You look good.
Gotta rock it. The Olympics. Let's go.
Allez, Paris.
There's been some other news. Gotham has announced signing of English defender Jess Carter. She joins us next. You're not going to want to miss this interview.
Jess Carter has really been one of the established players who have helped Chelsea get over that line.
And it's a good ball forward in towards Kelly inside the penalty area. And Carter getting the footing in.
Jess Carter we brought on to ensure Chelsea re-grip the game.
And that's useful!
And it was cleared away comfortably by Carter.
They might have a goal here. They probably will do. No, they won't. Jess Carter's on the line after Testrum.
No support for her, but Kelly will look to go herself. Carter recovers with a challenge, didn't panic, and got the job done. Right, this corner, and at the near post, and in.
Chelsea have won the WSL title again.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Attacking Third. We are pleased right now to be joined by the newest Gotham FC signing, English international defender Jess Carter. Jess, congratulations on this huge move. Thanks for joining us on Attacking Third. This is your first time playing club football outside of England, and you're coming to the NWSL. What excites you about this league?
I followed the NWSL for years. My family are from here, my dad's side of the family, so we've always watched the NWSL, and it's always been something I wanted to be part of. And I think that just seeing it grow over the years and get bigger and bigger has been really cool to watch. I think it's safe to say that the NWSL and the US Women's National Team have probably paved the way for women in football for years and years, and the voice that they have and the respect that they have to play the game that they love. And I feel like they just drive the game, and I wanted to come here and be part of that.
Yeah, Jess, welcome, first and foremost. What was so alluring to you about Gotham?
To be honest, I just came over to obviously watch Anne play as just a fan. And the first game I watched, I kind of just fell in love with it. It's not just about football. It's a whole day out. It's an event, and I think I've heard people use the cliche term of every game's a cup final. I'm like, it's really not though. And then I came in and watched it, and I was like, hey, every game's like a cup final. It's like exciting. There's that much passion. It's end to end. It's exciting football for me to watch. And I think anyone who's seen me play football, I'm not the kind of, maybe you don't see my passion as much. Like I'm not a jumping up and down, I'm not a cheering kind of player and don't celebrate goals that much. But when I watched the first game for Gotham, there was just something inside me that just had a lot of excitement watching it the first time round and seeing the fans. And I think that, football, your soccer over here is obviously huge. And I think I just wanted to be part of that.
Jess, you're really a quick learner, already correcting yourself from football to soccer. And we call that the silent but deadly type, the defenders that we get to see throughout the league. We like it. You have played under a number of legendary coaches internationally and most recently at Chelsea under Emma Hayes for such a long time. She was such a legendary coach there at Chelsea. And now you get to play under head coach at Gotham, Juan Carlos Amoros, who is coming off a NWSL championship, a Coach of the Year award. And he truly transformed Gotham FC into the club that they are today. What intrigues you about Juan Carlos Amoros as a coach?
For me, I think it's the style of play. I think that the NWSL has been notoriously known to be quite a direct league and just maybe about physical. But seeing his style of play, he wants to build it from the back. He wants players to come and get on the ball and just kind of express themselves. He gives players confidence to just go and do what they want to do and show off what they can do. And I think that's something that I want to be part of. I think I've probably just been known as a defender over the years and just be hard to be and just defend. And I want to become more of a complete defender with my possession as well. And when I spoke to him, that was one of the main things he said. And I think for 10 years, my focus has just been about, just be a defender and focus on that. And I think sometimes I've had that from management to just do that, you just defend, or don't worry about attacking when I play fullback. And I want to be able to give more to the team. And that was something straight away that he came to me and said, I want this to be better. And he showed me that I can do it. I just need the more consistency. And he wants to try and help that. So for me, that's really, really important for me. And just to know that we're on the same page with things is what stood out, I think.
Yeah, and a defender you've been called one of the best 1v1 defenders in WSL. You've played both center back, obviously, but also left back and right back for England and Chelsea. Now, that really does sort of fit into the profile that Juan Carlos Amoros tends to prefer in what he deems a Gotham player, which is highly versatile. What do you think that you'll bring to this Gotham side? Or has he given you some insight in how he wants to utilize you as you join this squad?
I'd love to be able to give a strong answer for that, but I'm still trying to figure out maybe what my best position is. I think that obviously he's, when I spoke with him, he mentioned about, that's me. He mentioned about, I think, playing at right back as well and trying to offer more going forward there. And obviously I think I played fullback for a long time, and I think that's something that I can still do, and with given a little bit more confidence there, I can do better. But yeah, of course, my 1v1 is something that I try and pride myself on, and coming to the league where players are going to be faster and stronger than me because their athleticism out here is crazy. I'm going to have to adapt that even more and try and become a better defender in that.
Yeah, you're definitely going to have to bulk up a little. These players in the NWSL, they're tough. Those attackers are tough. We talk about them weekly here. They are tough, but it is no test for you because you are a veteran in this game. Spending 6 seasons at Chelsea, you have so much experience. What is the number one moment of experience that you are going to bring from Chelsea to Gotham?
Yeah. Put me on the spot here.
No pressure, Jess. Just give us all the knowledge immediately, quick.
I think it's just about reading the game and managing the game, figuring out how to win the game. I think over the course of my time at Chelsea, we've had many moments where we've not played very well, but it's about our game understanding to get the 3 points. And because at the end of the day, people care about winning. We all want to win trophies, and I'm coming here because I want to do that, and I want to try and bring what I've learned to Gotham. And I think that is something that we've done really well at Chelsea, is finding a way to win at all costs. And I think that's something that I can probably help bring to the team.
For sure. We won't ask you for the meaning of life next, I promise. This is going to be your first time living stateside. What are you looking forward to most? You're going to be by New York City, obviously, which is a sprawl of anything that you could possibly want at any hour. What is on your to-do list?
I don't know. I just want to experience everything. I want to go everywhere. I want to just be outside all the time. I think just in the US, every time I've come here, there's so many different cultures. There's so many different things to do in every state that you go to, every city you go to. And I think that's something I want to be. I just want to go and see, really. There's nothing in particular. I came to New York at Christmas and fell in love with it, obviously, because of it's just beautiful at Christmas time. But just seeing everything is amazing. And I think that I just can't wait to experience as many things as possible, really.
The food, the culture, everything in New York is so exciting, but you're learning quickly, Jess. You're calling it soccer. You're going to get ready for the New York subway system.
We can let her continue to call it football. Some of us pivot between both. Don't take that from her, too.
But she's getting used to NWSL culture, Christine, and one of the biggest things in NWSL culture right now is the fit walk, specifically at Gotham FC. It is the pre-match ritual for the players where they walk down the carpet, they get their photo taken all before pregame of their home matches at Red Bull Arena. So we need to know from you, Jess, your first game day with Gotham, what fit are you going to be wearing for the fit walk?
I think that's the part I'm most nervous about. Not playing in front of thousands of people, having to figure out what outfit, because I've seen the way the girls walk up to games and they look so dope, all of them. So I'm kind of a comfort girl. I'd normally be going in my Crocs and a hoodie, so I'm going to have to try and dig something out of the wardrobe.
Jess, you can go streetwear. You can go streetwear, but you need to practice your strut. Like, I want a solid walk. We're going to have our eyes on, ready to watch you for your first fit walk.
All right, cool. I'll wear the Crocs in sport mode and see what I can do.
We are eagerly excited to watch the fit walk, your first match with Gotham, and everything to come, Jess. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Don't go anywhere. We've got plenty more Attacking Third coming up next for you.
What is the next page in this story for Canada and the investigation?
Yeah, I think what happens next and what's going to be the focus for Canada Soccer is this external review of what has been labeled by Canada Soccer's CEO as systemic kind of ethical failures for quite a long time now. I think that's what's really concerning here is, does Bev Priestman, is she the only person that used drones or cheated in some manner within Canada Soccer over the last few years? I think we can say right now the answer is very likely no. But this external review, my understanding is it's a huge focus for Canada Soccer over the past weekend. They wanted to get it started right away because they wanted to determine just how bad things are when it comes to cheating within Canada Soccer. We understand that Canada Soccer is no stranger to scandal, right? You go back before the World Cup, the men's national team boycotted a game because they were unhappy with the pay that they received essentially for appearing for Canada Soccer, right? We know that the Canada Soccer and scandal are often very closely linked, but I can tell you that Canada Soccer's new CEO who took over in February and then Canada Soccer's new president who took over in May, they are so serious and so focused about essentially getting Canada Soccer on the right track ahead of 2026, that this has become a massive priority in basically understanding how did a culture of cheating become so rampant within Canada Soccer? How were people allowed to do these things without any checks and balances? So I think this external review has become a big focus. We saw, it was incredible what the women's team pulled off, right? With the late winner against France. They're still in it. And I think that's really given everyone at Canada Soccer a boost of good news, required good news. But this external review, my understanding, is going to start very, very soon. And they want to make sure that everybody that needs to take part in this external review, Bev Priestman, John Herdman, they are called to question, I guess.
That was Joshua Cloakey this morning on Morning Footy. He is a staff writer at The Athletic covering Team Canada. And the latest over the weekend from FIFA is that they handed down their punishment for Canada Soccer, resulting in the Canadian women's national team at the Olympics being docked 6 points, as well as head coach Bev Priestman being suspended from any football-related activity for a year, and Canada Soccer being fined 200,000 Canadian dollars. Darian, how fair is this punishment?
Sadly, I think it's fair. Although the players may not have known that they're watching, not direct drone footage, but it could have been a tactical board or coaches putting you in positions on set pieces, on corners, or knowing formations. The style of press New Zealand was going to come out and try against Canada is advantageous. It simply is. So I think the punishment fits. I'm sad that it's affected the players, but I don't know how else you go about it. My big issue is I think New Zealand should have been given 3 points. I think that they have kind of been left behind in this entire conversation and discourse around this issue, around DroneGate. But yeah, that's my opinion. I think that it fits the issue of what they did.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that there should have been 3 points assessed to New Zealand and not just isolated to, 6-point deduction for Canada. I think there should have been an adequate sort of address of that interchange that had happened.
A lot has come out of this, and ahead of match day 2 for Canada Soccer, as they were going to take on France, the head coach, Bev Priestman, did put out a statement just hours before that match and kickoff, apologizing to the players ultimately, as well as the nation, and taking accountability for her involvement in the cheating scandal. So she is now currently suspended for 1 year, but Christine, will we see Bev Priestman coach again?
I don't think we should, quite frankly. She has exuded the fact that she cannot maintain a level of integrity at the bare minimum that's expected of a coach or a player in any program. She has let down her entire team. This appears to be systemic in nature, which is more worrying for Canada Soccer. I think that on top of that, adding insult to injury by issuing this apology when she did, ahead of this match, knowing that these players are already impacted, is incredibly insensitive and unnecessary. There is no apology, in my opinion, that will ever adequately fix this, what she's done to this team, to these players, and not even in this encapsulated amount of time, because now this calls into question their integrity going back through 2020, 2021 Olympics when they won. It's so unfortunate because there's no repair here.
And it affects the work that they've tried to do with the federation just as a whole, and what they said with being equal to the men and all of these things that they're getting and how much better they are on the field, the results that they get. This calls into question everything.
Right.
It does. This is nothing on the players. It's not. These players are incredible. The fact that they were able to overcome this and crawl their way back, get a win against France, was massive. But you set this program back so far, in my opinion, by now having these optics and people questioning the advantages you've had because of DroneGate and how many times it's happened. It's disheartening. I feel bad for the players.
Yeah, the implications for the things that we can foresee right now are immense. Think about the butterfly effect, how far-reaching this could potentially be. It puts them in such a poor situation. And also, yes, it erodes a lot of the progress that they had made. And again, to be clear, I do not put this on any of the players. There's no way for them to have known. But I do want to address that because I feel like a lot of players are coming out and issuing individual statements because they feel they have to defend themselves. This isn't a matter of, I think you saw drone footage. This is a matter of, unfortunately, you were receiving information that may have been ill-gotten, and there's no way to have retracted that or figure out what was or wasn't conveyed to you as players, and that's very unfortunate for them.
As players, you trust your coach and you trust the scouting that they've done is honest, right? It's almost like they've been cheated upon or cheated on. And so they're stuck in this really tough position where now you don't know who to trust or what to trust your information is coming from. And it is very disheartening for these players because they have worked so hard to get
credit to them for that game that we saw yesterday. I mean, after all of this, all eyes are on you. We're talking about it. Every news channel's talking about it. You were able to overcome it. They deserved this win. They deserved to fight and crawl back against France. And I hope to see them continue doing it the rest of the tournament. I hope that they can overcome this because when you don't have a coach, this is tough. Bev Priestman and the coaching staff and everybody involved set these players up to fail. And despite that, they've overcome it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually, to hear that.
It's a flat-out betrayal.
Yeah.
And everything that they managed to accomplish this Olympics is rightfully won, and
it's
well
us
done.
versus everybody for them.
So a number of former Canadian women's national team players, including legendary forward Christine Sinclair and goalkeeper Steph LeBay, have put out statements saying that they had never seen drone footage, and of course they were heartbroken for all of these players. But there's another side to this story. Darian, you touched on it. New Zealand, the team that was being spied upon and then had to go into a match against them. There has been nothing really said or talked about this New Zealand side. How does this affect the New Zealand national team?
Well, going into that match, how do you know that they didn't see how, like I said before, the tactics of the game, your pressing plan, how you were going to set up on set pieces, what your trick plays are? There's so many things that could have been exposed in that drone footage. We don't necessarily know exactly what it was yet, but it's also so unfair to them that I believe Canada should have forfeited that game. New Zealand should have gotten 3 points. They deserved that because it was still a close match. New Zealand still did well despite all of it, but I don't think that they're being considered enough in this entire conversation and in this tournament for all of the work that they've put in to make it to this point to be kind of washed away, and it's just about Canada right now.
What would be, Christine, in your eyes, quote unquote, fair for New Zealand at this point?
I mean, the bare minimum would have been to give them the 3 points from that match, because there's no way of repairing that retroactively. Also, we don't know how much that side potentially deviated from plan, because they don't know how much they're going to be reacting to drone footage that they may have refined things, and now they don't any longer have a leg up, and they were doing it, within their right. So I would say
makes the loss sting so much more.
Like, I mean, you prepare and you prepare and you prepare, and you're doing your final refinements ahead of a match. And now you don't know if that was just a wash. Do we have to change things now because we want to have some element of surprise? It's just extremely unfair. At the very least, they should have given them that forfeit. Canada shouldn't have been allowed to play that game. Going forward, I think they should consider assessing them the additional 3 points.
Yeah, well, we'll see. The latest right now is out of Canada Soccer that they are appealing the punishment from FIFA, the 6-point deduction heading into the tournament for this spying scandal. Canada Soccer asking the Court of Arbitration for Sport to review it. That hearing will likely be on Tuesday. We'll keep you updated of anything else that unfolds from this story. Don't go anywhere, though. We've got plenty more Attacking Third. We are talking Olympics match day 2 and all the results that happened. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Attacking Third, presented by CarMax, the way car buying should be. Throughout the Olympics, match day 2 is officially done. The United States and Spain are the only 2 nations that have punched their tickets to the knockout round. It is the 2 best teams in each group, plus the 2 best third-place teams. At this point, no team is eliminated. But Darian, we've seen 2 match days so far. Who's impressed you in this tournament?
I'm going to go with Zambia. A little bit of a hot take since they've lost both games, but this is a team that we haven't been able to see much of. I think we've saw big growth from their last Olympic run. It's not just the Barbara Banda show.
It's also the Rachel Kundanaji show.
It's Rachel Kundanaji. Zambia looked great in the attack. It was unfortunate the game against Australia. I mean, absolute mayhem, but just great for women's soccer.
It was crazy.
That was insane. You blinked and you missed 3 goals. It was absolute chaos, but this is why we love this game. My heart breaks for Zambia because it was just mental lapses in the defense. Their goalkeeper, Nambo, just mishandling balls, very simple, everyday catches that ultimately lost them the game. But I think that they proved, especially this tournament, that they can compete against the big dogs. They can hold their own. They can score goals and break teams down. You can't give them any sort of space because they will score on you. So that's why they've been really impressive to me. I'm excited to see what they do moving forward.
Zambia clearly has a game plan for the opposition that they're playing against, and understanding where the weaknesses are of those teams and how they can capitalize on those moments.
And mind you, they're doing all of this with a crappy coach. I wish we had Alexis's button because I almost cursed.
Hang on. Good.
Yeah. But a horrible coach that has set them up to fail, has distracted from all of their hard work they've done to get to these Olympics, and they've still overcome that and put in results, put in a shift, scored goals on teams that have really difficult defenses to break down. And they went down 10 players against the U.S. Yes, they lost 3-0, but they didn't let any goals in after that.
They had a great game plan. Yeah. They looked really good.
This is a team that I think we should fear going forward.
Ooh, I like that love them. But also, the unfortunate normal story of a women's team doing the most with the least, and on top of that, an African women's team doing the most with the least. So hopefully this switches it up. They deserve so much respect. And I mean, Barbara Banda pulling up with now record-setting.
Another hat trick.
3 hat tricks in her Olympic career.
You can't stop her in club play. You can't stop her internationally either. All right, Christine, who's impressed you? Which nation?
I'm going with the U.S. because I don't know what my expectations were really leading into this, but I think first and foremost, trying to find some Emma Hayes fingerprints on this team and seeing how soon we'd actually see some sort of momentum and deviation changes, but needed changes among this squad, knowing that we have really talented players in the U.S. And I think the matches between Zambia and Germany alone have given me a lot more insight into what's actually happening, a lot more positivity and optimism in that they are showing a lot more patience, more composure. They're working the ball around. Granted, they still are, there are some blemishes in their passing, a little bit messy at times where you're just like, please, like make the connections. But the fact that they are playing at their own pace and sort of dictating rather than this frantic, we need to breakneck pace. Now, maybe this will change a little bit when they meet a side like a Spain, whereas Germany a bit slower.
A very defined style of play.
Right, they'll kind of force them to hit the gas, and maybe that'll see them falter. But I think just seeing some of these passes, like even Gurma in the second half, like sticks out to me. I think it was around like the 68th mark when they just started to back pass and restring things. Gurma breaking through an entire midfield with a single pass, where you're like, this is the U.S. team.
Yeah, they look better.
Looked amazing. I think that the unfortunate thing with Tierna getting injured is that begs the question, but I think the Germany game for me really, really tested a number of players that you were wondering, are they going to be lock solid for us? And I'm all, I'm all in.
You're all in on the U.S. I like it. We will preview in its entirety U.S. taking on Australia, that match in match day 3. But for me, I've been really impressed with Colombia. They've scored 4 goals in their 2 matches. They beat New Zealand, and then they end up falling to France 3-2. But that's a come from behind. They score 2 goals. Colombia is at this really interesting position where all eyes are on them to do really well based on their World Cup performance that they had last summer in New Zealand and Australia. So there's a lot of pressure on this Colombian side to outperform themselves and to continue to get better. And it's hard as a nation to continue to take strides forward. And I'm talking like big leaps and bounds strides forward, yet Colombia is continuing to do that. Canada, we've talked about them a number of times as well, but they've also impressed me a little bit, picking up 2 wins. They sit 0 points in their group, being docked 6 points. They started the tournament -6, and they're already back to 0 through 2 matches.
I think that speaks to their spirit, honestly. The fact that you can start mentally in a bad place where everyone's remarked that they've been crying together and still show up and perform. I have nothing but respect for those players showing up at the very least.
Yeah, retweet. I want to jump to Colombia, though. I don't think all eyes are on Colombia. I actually think they're still not the respected team that they deserve to be. So coming into this tournament, and they're taking down really big hitters, the host of the tournament. They're playing well. They look dangerous. They have Mayra Ramirez back, who looks lethal with Colombia. It's not just certain players that we've talked about that are the highlight. This whole team looks very solid. I still think they're not getting the respect that they deserve, and hope that this tournament and their performances so far gain them that going forward, and then all eyes are going to be on them.
Colombia is in Group A. They top the group right now with 3 points. France behind them, also tied on 3 points. Then Canada and New Zealand. It is the top 2 teams in each group that advance, and then the 2 best third-place teams. Currently, Canada sit in 3rd with 0 points with 1 match day left in the group stage. Does Canada advance to the knockout rounds, Christine?
I feel like at this point, it's if they have to do it by spite, they'll do it.
Ooh, I like it. How
Absolutely.
about you? Yeah,
absolutely. It's them versus everybody. I think that's their mindset as players right now, and it's working.
I like that. Canada takes on Colombia in match day 3. And the United States, they take on Australia Wednesday. Don't go anywhere. We are previewing that entire match and what we expect from the Americans in match day 3 at the Olympics. Welcome back to Attacking Third. The United States head into match day 3 looking pretty good. They've already qualified for the knockout rounds, but they can top their group with a win or a draw against Australia. Last match day 2, Australia had a huge come-from-behind win over Zambia, 6-5 ultimately in that one. And the United States pick up a 4-1 win over Germany. Now the United States takes on Australia, that match happening Wednesday in Marseille. But how does the United States 4-1 win over Germany, Darian, set them up against Australia?
They look confident. They look like they're enjoying the game. They were able to problem solve Germany, attacking them. Germany did a really good job of exposing the U.S. in that 3-back and asking questions of the organization and the gaps that they leave open and taking shots from distance. We haven't seen teams really do that. And Testa Listenayer, she had to come up big in moments in the first half. So I think that them being able to overcome that is just propelling them forward going into this Australia match. But I will say the Australians can score some freaking goals. I think especially on set pieces, they looked very dangerous. I mean, they have some heavy hitters. They are not afraid to go life and limb to get on the end of a ball. And they ultimately came out on top of Zambia, which was great. But it's how many they conceded. And looking at the U.S. attack, I mean, you can't stop Kunda Nanja, you can't stop Barbara Banda. Well, the U.S. has Smith, Rodman, and Swanson, who are all cooking right now. I don't know a defense that can really stop them. So I think we're going to see another high-scoring game, I hope. I'm here for the drama. I'm here for the goals. I'm here for the talent. But, yeah, I think it's going to be a good matchup between these two. I'm looking forward to it.
Australia, they conceded 3 in their opening match against Germany, and then they conceded 5 against Zambia. It bodes pretty well for the U.S. attack, Christine.
I mean, yes, of course it bodes pretty well for the U.S. attack. It's just kind of funny that, like, Zambia's defense is offense, and you have two teams that are just like, we got vibes in the back, but we got shooters in the front and nothing else. So, yeah, I mean.
You want to score, I'll score.
Right?
You
yeah,
score.
you score, I score.
We'll
you go, I go. But I think the U.S. will absolutely try to exploit that. I mean, they also have a much better defensive back line, whether they're that 3-back or 4-back. But Australia will definitely, Kira Cooney-Cross, Steph Catley, like, they've got a taste for blood now. They just had their own little goal-scoring fest, so.
At the end of the U.S. match, Tierna Davidson, or at the end of the first half of U.S.'s match versus Germany, the defender Tierna Davidson went off with a leg injury. We don't have an update yet, hopeful for one after Tuesday's training, but with the likely absence of Tierna Davidson, Darian, how does that change Emma Hayes' defensive plan?
I don't think it changes anything. If there's one thing that changes, it's just the ball playing ability, because Tierna Davidson is left-footed on that side, and she has such an accurate, precise left foot. I said yesterday on the show, you guys all laughed at me, Emily Sonnet's a player that you go against and she's got her veins popping out of her neck. She's really intense. She's yelling. She's guiding play, telling you where to pass it. She's intimidating, terrifying in that back line. But that energy is great for your team. That energy is amazing. And to know that she's a veteran, she has that intensity that's so just great to feed off of for everybody else, I think is going to be not equal to Tierna Davidson, but it gives something completely different that is good for them, especially against an Australian team who is great on set pieces.
So you think Sonnet will start in place of Davidson?
Yeah, I think that's going to be for sure a change.
Who do you think will rotate?
I think she absolutely should. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine putting anyone else in that position. Tried and true. You know, Sonnet, especially her intensity, I feel like Sonnet is to the defensive line what Mel Swanson is to the top line. They just are both really intense, and I love that.
Well, the U.S. doesn't have too many other options to slot into that center back role. It's kind of it. You've got Girma, Davidson, and Sonnet who can play back there. Kruger could slot in.
She could. I don't know if
but I don't think she will, not at this point. What other changes do you expect? Christine, I'll start with you, because from match day 1 to match day 2, absolutely 0 changes in the starting 11 for the United States and Emma Hayes. What 11 changes do you expect to see against Australia?
Yeah, for me, that's a hard go because this is my optimal starting 11.
This has been the starting 11 against Germany and in their first match against Zambia. And most of these players played
almost an entire
minutes.
game.
Darian, what do you think? Any big changes for Hayes in the starting 11?
Yeah, I think Sonnet's in for Davidson. I think Lavelle needs to come out. Albert goes in. Williams for Smith. Niswanger for Swanson and Kruger for Fox. I think this is the game where you switch up a lot. Yeah.
6 changes.
6 changes.
Ooh.
I think this is the time where you switch up a lot. You let these players' legs rest. You have Corey Bethune come in the second half and get some minutes, maybe switching with Haran and let her get her feet under her, get the experience in the Olympics, show what she can do for this national team. But this is the time where you have to be really strategic because we're going to see tired legs in these matches in the
both sides.
Both sides. I think there's going to be a lot of fatigue built up. You have to be really strategic on how you're subbing, and I think this is going to see where it's going to tell who's managing their teams correctly, who's loading their teams properly going into this match and forward.
I think if Jaden Shaw, fingers crossed, I haven't heard anything, it ends up being available for Australia, I feel a little bit better about some of the rotations, but
I don't know if she'll be available.
I don't know. It's such a quick turnaround.
Exactly.
That's what's tough about the Olympics.
I also
just get a knock. Typically, you've got like a week or at least 5 days going into the next match. You have 2.
I don't love not starting Rose though either. So
I get it.
Like just the mileage on her.
They're going through. Rest her.
Yes. I know. I think even the way that they played against Germany, where Germany were sort of flipping so that they were like covering and clogging that midfield, the central channel. So you kind of could make Horan and Rose a little bit quieter for part of that game where they were going wide. Was great, but I feel like they're just so important.
Well, they are, but I think Australia is going to come out and press. They have to win. They have to score
Australia
some goals.
has a lot more on the line than the U.S. does.
The U.S. can bomb some balls forward, and they can bypass the midfield. I don't think that's going to be
pretty. We might get a lot of goals. It might not be too pretty, but the U.S. is in. It comes down to game management at this point. Emma Hayes, she can play checkers. She knows what she's doing, or she can play chess.
Okay, so we start done in the top line, not the back line.
Yeah, why not? Potentially. We'll see. The U.S. takes on Australia in their final group stage match day of the Olympics Wednesday at 1 p.m. And we will be live on YouTube and Golazo Network immediately following that match for instant analysis and recap. Thanks, everyone, so much for joining us. Today's Attacking Third was brought to you by CarMax, the way car buying should be. We'll see you Wednesday.